And also, I'd like to give it a quick shout out to my patrons. Thank you very much. And if you haven't joined my Patreon, come on over. We speak about things like how you make a bond claim properly, about staying private when it comes to credit on a business or personal level. Speak about privacy, how to make different types of damages. Because part of the damage that you state as relief is part of your claim. The relief and the granted and the damage itself. We speak about how to establish probable cause when you bring criminal charges and how simple it is. We speak about the concept of copyleft versus copyright, how to get it done. We speak about the GSA bonds, how to get it done, how to put your car in the proper trust and not to pay taxes on it, and a lot more. And a lot more to come about trademarks and different type of marks. So there's a lot more to come. So thank you once again to my patron, and best of luck to everyone. Beautiful people, welcome back. Thanks for having a thirst for knowledge. Thanks for having a thirst for truth. Most importantly, thanks for having a thirst for intending to actually function with knowledge and truth. Private banking. You want to have a private bank. You want to function with private bank. You hear people telling you they're going to give you something about private bank. You see people on social media posting things telling you they're holding classes on private banks. You see websites telling you and promising you things about private banks. Some of them probably know about it. Some of them probably don't. This is what you ought to put into consideration first. You yourself should first study Article 4 of UCC. But when you do so, don't do it on a national level. Don't do it on a uniform level. Do it on your individual state level. Here are what you need to know first before you begin to listen to anyone trying to promise you anything about private banking or holding a class or wanting you to pledge one thing or the other. There are honorable people out here. So this is not to disregard anyone, but the honorable ones are fewer than the ones that are dishonorable. So save yourself the headache and first look into these references first. Once you have looked into these references, ask these people that are holding these private classes regarding private banks these questions. You first do your due diligence and look into Article 4 regarding bank deposits and collection. Article 4 of the UCC on the uniform version, which will also be uniform with the verbiage on the state level, but the state level has some subtleties that the uniform version on the federal level don't. So look into Article 4, which also covers liability when it comes to banks and actions or non-performance with presentments, payments, and collections, and how it relates to the National Bank Act. Look into Article 3, which specifically deals with negotiable instruments. But keep in mind, in the process of you dealing with all this thing regarding negotiable instrument, know that negotiable instrument is not money. Again, I repeat, negotiable instrument is not money. And UCC makes that very, very clear. Part of UCC that makes it clear that negotiable instruments are not money is in Article 3. If whoever's telling you that they want to create private classes for private banking do not know the difference between negotiable instrument and money as it relates to Article 3 of the UCC, that is even putting to the side the National Currency and the National Bank Act, then there's a problem with that man or woman saying that they're going to show you some stuff about private banking. You yourself, before you start to question anyone or before you allow someone to tell you about some private classes with some private banking, look into Article 4A. There's Article 4 and there's Article 4A. Look into 4A of the UCC code regarding funds transfer. This is all about banking you're talking about now. If they don't know about this, he or she is lying to you regarding that private class that they're holding regarding private banking. Article 4A deals with securities also, and correlates directly and commingle with Article 8 of the UCC, which is investment securities. When you start talking about private banking and banking, these are all the things that you're dealing with. And usually, you will see conflict and verbiages within Article 4 of the UCC and Article 9 of the UCC and Article 8. Literally, Article 4, 8, and 9 will conflict each other. When you begin to really open your eyes and you read between the lines, you see, oh crap, these are loopholes. Wherever, and the verbiage and these things tell you if Article 4, 9, and 8 conflicts, Article 4 and Article 9 supersedes. And most people who deal with private banking, or what they think private banking is, and that buzzword, they try to milk Article 8, investment in securities. And Article 4 and Article 9 supersedes Article 8 when it comes to private banking, when it goes or negotiable instruments and things of that nature. Look into these basics first before you start eating up the promise of someone telling you they're doing a private class in private banking. There are honorable people, there are, but there are much fewer than the wolves and vampires out there. This is just a be on the lookout thing for you, so you are aware of it, so you don't fall victim and get sucked dry. And outside of all that, because this UCC has an inception in something, you will hear people tell you it's some ancient stuff. Okay, yeah, cool. But keep trying to look into the ancient stuff if you don't understand or comprehend the modern stuff. In the modern times, the closest link to the UCC that you will find is in the regulation of the Federal Reserve System. Like the USPS has a board of governor, and then they have the postmaster. Or the federal system, Federal Reserve System, centralized banking, has its own board of governors, and those board of governors have their own regulation. And wherever there's any sort of conflict in any aspect of articles of the UCCs, whether on a state or the uniform version on the federal level, that are conflicting, aka loopholes, and when you start to read these things, you will see those loopholes. It would almost scare you that, what am I getting myself into? You will begin to see how much this is truly, really bigger than what most people out here who say they want to be private or are private. It's far bigger than they themselves and what they think they're doing. It is very, 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 very big. Then you start to see the link that leads you to certain things when you start reading congressional records that clearly let you know that if you're not reading the regulations of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System, and you're saying you want to have your own private bank and all that, or someone is feeding you some false hopes that they're holding a private class in private banking, they are lying to you. Again, there are honorable ones out here, but they are very few. The ones that are not honorable outnumber the honorable ones. The ones that are not honorable are the ones that will entice you the best and the easiest. Don't let someone's sweet talk pull you into a world of fuckery that you'd rather not be in. Article 4 deals with bank deposits and things like collection and all that stuff. Some of the Fair Credit Reporting Act and the Fair Debt Collection Practice Act is derived from the bank deposit and collections within Article 4 of the UCC. They're not breaking all that down to you. That is an issue. Someone is just looking for you to pledge their birth certificate, your birth certificate, to them so that they can do the same thing that this United States that you're trying to get away from is doing to you. They want to turn you into another type of slave. They figured a little bit of something out, but they're not going to tell you that little bit they figured out. But instead they will use it to turn you into a slave. Be careful. There are wolves and vampires out here. when it comes to presentment, payment, collection, specific to bank now. We're talking about private banking. Article 4 tells you about it. Just a little tidbit, just a little caveat. For those very quick and eager, but are still good-hearted, but are not quite sure, and are just jumping into the bandwagon. Those are the jewels of the specific sections that are important. The UCCs and what they do in summary. Now you look into it, and then whoever is telling you that they have something to offer you about private banking, ask them certain questions regarding these things that's been mentioned. Be very specific with it, but more importantly, you read it yourself. Read the black and white, sit down for a moment, read it. Take care, and best of luck.